community, and we would like to thank Jordan, Jamarhl, and Renee, as well as Reveria Andrea Payne for coming into the studio and letting us know about the first ever Big Head Community Festival being held this Saturday between 2 and 8 p.m. There will be a number of different activities, including storytelling, Zumba, games we used to play for children and adults, face painting. One of the activities that I thought was going to be super fantastic, Jimmy, was the African drumming, where they said they will have up to 10 drums at one time, and the screening of the film Hidden Colors, and that is approved by none other than the J, the I, the M, the M, the Y, the J, the I, the M.
It's Jimmy.
Yeah, you know that. And
you're joining in on this too? No,
I like that one.
No,
She raps better than she sings.
Yeah. And all calls going out to videographers, photographers, and anyone that can assist with archiving the event, the Big Head Community Festival, August 17th from 2 to 8 p.m. Please call the number 617-442-8614. Again, it's 617-442-8614. Your volunteering is definitely needed, because we need to record events like that where we celebrate ourselves, our culture, and embracing the richness of community unity. Jamarhl doesn't like when we rhyme those kind of things, but for the purposes of this event, I think it is very fitting that we revisit our natural traditions.
Well, I'm hoping more than anything that there are people out there that understand when we say this is not one of those paid events. If you're a production person, there's a lot of young black people who have production equipment, you're running around doing a whole bunch of stuff. This is something that is more than worth your time to be able to give this back. Remember, this will be stored within the museum. It'll be kept for a lifetime. This is the first one. We're hoping there will be many, many more. And as Jamarhl had mentioned earlier, and so much about our history, Juneteenth was June 19th, 1865, when the final words got to the far western, southwestern regions of our country, a couple of forts out there, that the slaves were finally freed. We were freed. No, we are technically not free. We still fight the same battles every single day today, over 200, and since Juneteenth, it'll be 249 years next year, heading into 2015, but we still continue to fight, and our freedom is that important. When you see things like the Voting Rights Act and what the Supreme Court did, this recent decision to try to gut the Voting Rights Act, and why we're going to Washington, why we're going to march, why we have to fight, why the battle is from the womb to the tomb, you cannot forget those things. So, Sunshine, we need to hold on to that folder, because every day from here all the way up to the event, we should be mentioning this. Videographers, people who have video equipment, we want you to come. We want you to be at this event Saturday, this coming Saturday at the museum. That's 300 Walnut Avenue?
300 Walnut Avenue, that is Roxbury. We've driven by there, and as I told Jamarhl earlier, I have ridden by that museum for my whole entire life, and it wasn't until about 3 to 4 years ago that I actually went inside, and the exhibits that are in there are incredible, because it is all reflective of African Americans, black people.
I've been there many times over the years, and I've been there for events as well. It is an incredible place to be. Your whole spirit is lifted when you walk in there. But that said, and for the reasons maybe you didn't know as you were a child, I don't know the reasons why, but so many young people, you don't know it's even there. So now you know. Go there Saturday, and we're going to continue to do our best as a Touch family to keep you informed as to what's going on. Time to switch topics. Our own, Jamarhl. We call you our own now. I'm sorry. You're our own. We're holding on to you. We don't care what you say. It's not slavery or anything. We're not possessing you, but we're holding on to you.
I appreciate it.
It's wonderful to see you, Jamarhl. Jamarhl Crawford, well, he's better known as Jamarhl, like Sunshine says. He only needs one name. From Blackstonian, is here. So many things going on. Jamarhl and I were talking during the break, And Jamarhl and I are going to work on getting the principals behind the movie Hidden Colors to this studio. Jamarhl will do most of the work, knowing him. He won't allow me to do but so much. He says
You
I'm
got him
old.
on speed dial.
No. I do have him on speed dial. But he always says, he says, oh guy, I'll do the leg work. I'm younger. I can run faster. I say, okay, go for it. But we'll get that done. But Jamarhl, you're here to make an announcement today?
Yes, indeed. But before I do that, I'd just like to touch on some of that stuff with the museum. You know, I'm a child of the Elmer Lewis School. That museum is the National Center of Afro-American Artists. And then the museum is the Museum of the National Center of Afro-American Artists. And of course, that entity was created by Elmer Lewis, was the perfect merger of arts and culture and civic engagement. You know, they created the famous Elmer Lewis Playhouse in the Park. And to that, I think, you know, we've spoken a bit about it before. You know, one of my ideas to give back is the creation of an Elmer Lewis amphitheater space that would repurpose the old zoo, the old bear dens that are now ruins, and make it into an amphitheater where people can do poetry and jazz out there. But when I first came back to Boston in 1997, after being in Atlanta for 7 years or so, I was looking for places to do events and perform poetry and, you know, add my own on the culture. And with all, you know, respect that is due to the Museum of the National Center of Afro-American Artists, they were the first ones to open their doors and allow me to come in and do events. So it is there that we birthed a lot of movements in the poetry world, poetic license and poetic justice and all these types of things that we had going on, poetry in motion, that we did right there at the National Center of Afro-American Artists. So much love and respect to them. Big shout out to Mr. Edmund Barry Gaither, who is the keeper of the flame, and I know Miss Lewis is looking down proud and smiling, because you sure don't want her frowning on you, boy. That was about her business, lady.
Right. 617-445-1061, the fabric of the Black community, where you feel and hear the difference. And Jamarhl, before you go into your big announcement, you may or may not have heard Jakai, who is our intern.
Oh, yes, I heard.
He came in and I asked him to write his own public service announcement.
Yes, I did.
And what he read, and the topic that he chose was racism.
That's right.
And as a young 14-year-old black male, he expressed his own experiences with his being targeted with racist attitudes and people's perceptions. What do you think about young black men that have to, you know, live their daily lives? He even included the Trayvon Martin decision with the verdict of the perpetrator being found not guilty. How do you feel about what Jakai spoke about?
Well, first of all, I'd like the young man to come on in here if he could. But, you know, I was home getting prepared to come on, and, you know, and I heard the young man's words. And so what I did was, you know, I went on my bookshelf, and I have some books that I give to people who show an interest and whatnot. So what I did is I provided him with a Black History book because that is the best weapon to deal with, unfortunately, what he's going to face his entire life as a black man. So even at the young age of 14, this is where they put it on you initially, you know.
And earlier.
Yes. People have talked about, you know, in the story of Malcolm X, you know, that needle in the brain when Malcolm said, you know, I want to be a lawyer or something. And they said, oh, no, Malcolm, you know, there's no Negro lawyers. You should be a carpenter. You're good with your hands, right? And so it starts off with stuff like that. And for you, being a big guy, being a dark-skinned guy, you're going to get different levels of the racist stuff. One, just because you're black, but then you'll get some of the dark-skinned black stuff. Then you'll get some of the big black stuff. And as you get older and get taller and everything, you're going to have an imposing figure on some. People are going to be trepidatious to deal with you.
Then you're going to be the intimidating black big
exactly.
person.
And you'll know it when you go into the banks and the hospitals and the restaurants and so on and so forth, and you'll begin to see it. But it's already begun for you. But what I wanted to do, and the reason I gave you that book, is because once you know the history, when somebody tells you something like this is a white-only area, right?
Yeah.
What history does is right off the bat, just common sense says, man, this guy's an idiot, right? But what history does, you can lean back and put into perspective, wow, this is a white-only area. That's funny because I thought this was all Native American area, okay? And I thought that the whole planet had already been circumnavigated by African people, while people were living in Europe in caves, eating bugs and worms. So history, I think, is the best tool to kind of disarm that type of stuff.
And also you will notice, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sanjay.
Well, I want you to make your point, Jimmy, but for Jakai not knowing that Jamarhl would come in here and give him a gift. What's the title of the book you gave him, Jamarhl?
It's called Black History for Beginners. I got it from our very own Frugal bookstore right in Roxbury, at the Roxbury Mall. Shout out to the owners there, Lenny and Clarissa. And it's just a great book. When I saw it on his shelves, I was like, Lenny, man, I need a price on 10 of these. So I got 10 of them, and I've been giving them to young men and women in our community who show an interest in that. And the book is very easy to read, but it's like a it's like a
manual?
Yeah, but it's like all crashed up into one, because obviously Black history is thousands of years. You couldn't write it with the entire library at Copley, but it's it's a small book, but it's very poignant.
But here's the best part. Earlier we had a caller that called in, and he was talking about just this. And we didn't get as deep into it. He talked about the black inventors and so forth. And one thing you need to know, Jakai, and this is very important, your people built this thing called the pyramids.
That's right.
And to this day, those pyramids have stood for thousands of years.
Despite some people's best efforts to knock them down.
Exactly. No one has been able to figure them out. Still to this day. Your people invented the Dewey Decimal System by which we count today. We are the first fluent people on this earth that knew how to communicate, write, and when they go into the caves and so forth, even if they were to get inside of the pyramids, they would find out there are drawings on the wall. We were the first to draw, to make a historical map of who we were, where we came from. Now, as this has all evolved, and so much of it has been taken away from us by those three magic ships, Pinta, Santa Maria, and Nina, yeah, and being dragged here. Another book we're going to get you is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I read it when I was in college. I've read it maybe 50 times since then. But you come from greatness. But also, just as Jamarhl said, you can go as deep as the Native American part, and they were people of color. But also remember this. When that person tells you that you are in a whites-only neighborhood, you just remember that since the beginning of this country, every single war that has ever been fought, black people have been at the forefront fighting. So, all of our blood that's been shed has allowed you to walk on any piece of land that you feel free to walk on.
And Jakai, for me, just realizing that Jamarhl, I didn't even know Jamarhl was listening, but I should know that Jamarhl listens and hears everything. I don't even know how he gets all the information that he does. But when you read that piece, and Jamarhl came in with that book for you, what did that say to you? That about adults listening to young people?
It made me feel good. Because there's actually people out there that see things from my perspective. And when he gave me that book, it's like another jump. It's like the next step to know what I'm talking about.
And yet you're not alone.
So you're going to read that book?
Of course.
And tell your friends.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, we thank you, Jakai,
Thank you, Jakai,
for joining us. And Jamarhl, we want to thank you for giving our own Jakai that book. 617-445-1061. We are getting ready to get into the news of the day. 617-445-1061. We want you all in the listening audience to be prepared for what you are about to hear from Jamarhl, y'all.
Your stage.
All right, so the announcement is this. I have decided to become a candidate and launch a campaign for District 7 City Council. That is the district that we are broadcasting to you from currently. District 7 City Council is the seat that is currently held by Tito Jackson. And as I've told people, I'm not running against Tito. I'm running for District 7. In the most literal sense, I'm running for this district because I love this district. This is where I come from. This is where my family and friends are. And we are in need of some critical services. And I would argue that our district is the district that is in the most need, but yet receives, I would say, the least assistance and support from a governmental level. And I think that there is nobody better suited than me to be able to go into the halls of power and either come out with the resources and services that we need, or come out with the head of a giant in the bag.
Or come out in chains. Being carried by a police officer.
That could happen.
But don't worry, I'll be there with the carriage.
Right.
If that happens, I will be there.
That could happen.
The announcement itself stands on its own. I'm extremely proud of you for taking this step.
Thank
for
you.
all you've been through in your life, to be able to say, that is something that I want to aspire to. You have obviously been inspired by some people, but more importantly, how has your political activism over the last couple of years drove you to this point, Jamarhl?
Well, you know, the thing is, I got to give a big shout out to the haters and the naysayers, because oftentimes, see, and when you're talking about leadership, and once again, my spiritual practice, my style of, you know, organizing and everything is that when you hold a lens up to other people and you're critical of other people, you got to have the same thing on yourself. So it's easy for me to listen to all the people who say, hey, Jamarhl, you're great, you're wonderful, greatest thing since sliced bread. All that feeds is ego, ego, ego. And a lot of people get caught up in that, and it can be very intoxicating.
Please listen to this audience.
But what I like to do is I really like to listen to my critics. Because what you find in the criticism, once you remove the stuff, sometimes people say some mean stuff. Man, you got a big head, and I didn't like what you did the other day, so I'm going to take out the big head stuff. All right, because that's just a statement of the obvious, right? Okay, so I agree. You got me. I have a big head. All right. But what's more important is what comes after that thing. So I don't dismiss a person's critique based on, you know, oh, it hurt my little feelings or whatever. So the haters and the naysayers, one of the things that kept echoing, and I'm talking probably over 100 times, man, you talk all this stuff, you be critiquing everybody, you be talking about this one and that one, man, why don't you run for office? And it got to a point where it was like, you know what, it's a good point. And although it is personally, I gotta share this with you personally, it is inconvenient for me to run for office. It's not a fun thing. It's hard to do, you know, and you need to have some respect for those people who put it out there. It's a difficult thing. It's not fun. You're sacrificing a good portion of your personal life and all that. And so I never wanted to, but I felt like the time was so critical that I had to. And it's those people who motivated me, along with all the people who supported it and know that we need these services.
As I kind of suspected or speculated because of just where you are right now and the natural transgression of your growth that I've witnessed over these almost 2 decades of knowing you. But what I liked the most about how you did this was you silently, quietly opened up the committee. And then the thing that just, you know, because I went on OCPF and you threw in 5 G's of your own money to this campaign. How will you utilize that, those dollars and resources in this sticker campaign, which is already the uphill battle against two different opponents for the same seat in District 7? But how are you going to be able to utilize the 5,000 compared to maybe 25, 40, or 50 that the current city councilor has the potential of you know, raising, and how can you use your ground game with that 5,000 and potentially more support that you will receive?
Well, with all of the activism that we've done, you know, we do what is called the low to no dough program. All right, which means
the low to no dough.
Right.
That sounds like me.
Right. So that's exactly what we've been forced and forced into being trained on how to operate and do pretty big things and carry out grand visions and reach broad base of people with next to no resources. really on a nickel and dime. And then because of the business that I'm in terms of graphic design and web design, the prices that I get for stuff is just ridiculous. So something that somebody would pay $500 for might cost me $100. So I have the benefit of all that in my network, and then my extended network are just all the people I know who do various things. But one thing I would like to bring up too is where the $5,000 came from. You know,
Because you know that was going to be the question.
right. But see, now our people out there, and this is an important thing: save, 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 save. So for me, every now, because I'm broke, I am completely broke. I'm unemployed, and I tell people I'm self-employed because I'm unemployed. I was the only one that would hire me. You understand what I'm saying?
Join the crowd. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So what I did is anytime I would get a little bit of money or whatever, literally, I have all these little envelopes and jars for different things. So when people come to these organizations that we do, and we're saying we raise the money for the food program and feed the people, all that goes into the Feed the Hood envelope. And it does not get touched except for anything that deals with food. Anytime somebody donates specifically to the Blackstonian, that goes in the Blackstonian envelope. Then I got my own personal thing. I got my own change jar. Then I got the thing for my daughter, right? I collect cans out of my house and turn those in and all that. So, you know, it came from saving.
Wow.
All right, so y'all are here.
617-445-1061. Those are the words of Jamarhl. He is now officially announcing his candidacy, and we are blessed that it was announced right here on your station, Touch 106.1. 445-1061 is our telephone number. Step aside. We're going to come back with more of Jamarhl. Call in, ask him some questions. He is now a candidate for that city council seat in this district, and I have the feeling things are not ever going to be the same.
Touch 106.1 FM, the fabric of the Black community, where you feel and hear the difference right here in beautiful Uptown Grove Hall. We are your fabric, and we bring you information, exclusive interviews, and etc.
And announcements, as we just got one today.
Absolutely.
From our own Jamarhl Crawford of Blackstonian, excuse me.
If
who's
you're
announced.
just tuning in.
Yes, who's just announced.
Go ahead, because Jimmy can't hold it.
Oh, this
he wants to say it over and over again.
Because I'm ecstatic, because I do know Tito Jackson, who has sat in this seat several times in front of us. Tito's now, I think he's doing a talk show for the Herald, whatever. Congratulations for him for that. But Jamarhl did not do this out of spite, out of meanness or anything. He knows Tito, Tito knows him. He said, I'm doing this because I think there's a need for what I bring. So you can speak your own words, but before you do, I want to go back to the phones as Jamarhl Crawford has announced that he is running for the council seat in this district, District 7, in the upcoming election. Minister Don is by phone. Minister Don, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Yes, good morning.
It's good to hear
morning,
your
sir.
voice.
Well, I want to start off by saying all has my support.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
He said, yep.
There's your first vote, and that's a pretty big one.
That's a big one.
Because what I want to alert people to know, this young man, I've known him for a while, and he's very bright. You better come with your guns banging,
Mm-hmm.
and you won't need any more after that, because this brother has his thoughts, his desires, his goals together. I have been watching him. I think he knows it for a long time,
Yes, sir.
and I'm glad for him to make the move,
So am I.
because I'm not a politician, don't want to be,
Neither do I.
but we need some youth in this who can stay up late at night in meetings and what have you. But as long as they keep the goal in mind, as long as they keep their desire in mind to do the right thing by the people, then they will have my support all the way.
I don't think we even have to even think about him losing his focus in regards to that, Minister Don, because I've known him for a while now, and from the moment I met him, I said, this is some person that wants to go some places. Jamarhl, you respond to Minister Don yourself.
Well, you know, it's a beautiful thing about Black Boston because, a lot of people talk about how messed up Boston is and this, that, the other, which is true. We have some straight up nonsense that goes on here. But we also have some exemplary examples who have either resided in Boston or come through Boston, starting off with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Also with people like Malcolm X. You go back, people like Frederick Douglass. You know, you talk about people like
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King
was educated here.
The brother David Walker.
David Walker.
All right. So you know these are historical figure men, and then also too carrying on the tradition. So now you know people like Minister Dawn, people like Senator Bill Owens, people like
Councilor Henry Owens.
Councilor Henry Owens, people like I still come so old school in my brain. I always still call him Dean Keith.
Dean Keith Motley.
But he is the Chancellor of UMass, and men like Charlie Titus and so on. So I've also have been watching you and others, and I seek to receive that torch and not make y'all ashamed.
Minister Don, with the mosque being right here directly in the center, in the heart of Boston, in this District 7, what are the issues for this community, both locally and throughout the entire city, citywide, that you think Jamarhl can bring his energy and impact into the city council in a way that no other person has?
Well, first I'd like to say when we were looking for a location, there were plenty of options, even larger buildings. And Minister Farrakhan asked me, he said, "Don, but you tell me where you think the best place is for what we do." I said, the best spot to be, in my opinion, is in the heart of Grove Hall. I told him the number of automobiles that came through the place. I told him there were intersections of not just straight streets. You got Geneva Avenue, Washington Street, Louisville Avenue, all of these streets coming in. And I thought it was the perfect place. And it turns out that these 30 to 36,000 cars now that go through here have a good chance to see Grove Hall. And because Jamarhl now, he's in Grove Hall on the other side of the street, we on the other side, we're going to lock arms, I'm sure, and have a handshake every day over Blueville Avenue and then the state. That's the major thing that I want to say, because Roxbury ought to lead this city. It is a busy section, certainly. It's not as busy as other sections, but it is the heart of really the thinking of the black community. There's no other spot in all of this town where people are trying to unite, to do something, to work together. And sorry that we lost the place where Mount Dixon was. There was a serious problem in the family. Otherwise, that could have been a place for us to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but we have another place across the street, so we're still rolling in the right direction. But the spirit of dealing with the weakest link in the chain, and that just happens to be our people, it just happens to be Boston, and Jamarhl, I think, is the man to handle this district.
Thank you, sir.
Do you realize all of that burden that is now placed upon your young shoulders? Because you're still a young man, and you have to understand that, as you mentioned, we got a lot of messed up stuff here and a lot of messed up people, but I'm gonna have to deal with all that too. When you wake up tomorrow morning, and now it's official, and all these people are gonna be coming at you, thinking that you're the city council already, asking for things, how are you gonna weigh all this, Jamarhl? How are you gonna keep yourself in perspective? Because we talked about this several months ago when I said, Jamarhl, you should think about running for office. It was not my suggestion, it was yours. But when I brought it to you, I said, what do you think? You said, not something I'm really thinking about right now. But now you've raised your own money, you've done all these things.
Well, I've been doing the work for a while, so I already get calls. Jamarhl, my family just got burned out of a house. We don't have any food, we need food. Or, Jamarhl, my son just got locked up last night, he needs a lawyer, or he got beat up by the police, or what have you. So part of that is just going to continue. Been doing it before, going to continue to do so. But for Roxbury, there's a couple things that I want to prioritize that I think are just embarrassments. And so, for instance, you know, the fact of Blue Hill Avenue, from Blue Hill Avenue here in Grove Hall down to Dudley, it's like the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, right? And at night, last night, I was driving around putting out some of the Boston Black Agenda newspapers and whatnot. And I remember when Carlos Henriquez, now current state rep Carlos Henriquez, and I tried to organize a cleanup of that area. And of course, it was very difficult. You'd be surprised to get like people on board, like the police and whatnot. And one thing about me, if I get into that office, when I get into that office, is that we're gonna get some answers and some stuff. Like, explain to me how it is that down Dudley Station, right, everybody knows that all day long you can sit outside, drink a pint of Wild Irish Rose or whatever, shoot up some dope. You can fall asleep over in the little corridor right outside of the Dudley Library, and right there is the police station. You got 3 banks in that area. You got the senior center in that area. You got a mass exodus of children when Madison lets out that come through there, young girls, and now you got old men hollering at these young girls and all that. So we're gonna put a stop to that. If I got to do it my doggone self, you know, that's number one. And then Blue Hill Ave, that corridor I spoke of from Grove Hall down to Dudley, because there's a place here, you know, Grove Hall being the heart of Roxbury, but then, you know, maybe we say Dudley is the liver, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we need to connect these two, I think, and just have a complete, what they called as an empowerment zone, but I don't think anybody feels too empowered.
As I listen to you and know what you've done over the years, and earlier this morning before you got here, we talked about, I called you a troublemaker, and Jimmy quickly corrected me and said, no, he's an agitator. There are people, Lord have mercy, we know, that do not want you to have that seat.
Yep.
And historically, we know that sticker campaigns are that uphill battle, especially when there's an incumbent involved. Who are those people that definitely don't want to see an agitator like yourself in the city council seat? Not that you have to name them by name.
Oh, I could name them.
Okay, well, if you want, yeah.
I mean, obviously,
Let's step a little higher. I like provocateur.
Well, as long as it's not agent provocateur.
Provocateur.
Yes, indeed.
You go look it up if you don't know.
Yes,
but
indeed.
I'm saying the things that I've been called rabble rouser. Fine, great, call me a rabble rouser. But I would go with revolutionary.
Right. Yes.
Be a revolutionary, because
Right.
you said be a revolutionary in everything you do.
That's
Well,
right.
you're being a revolutionary right
I
now.
would be a revolutionary candidate, and I'm going after the people I know, like Ras Baraka in Newark, New Jersey, who was a city councilor, and now he's going for mayor since Cory Booker has now ascended
Yes.
to senator. Right? Shouts out to Cory, shouts out to Ras Baraka and his father Amiri Baraka, and also to Chokwe Lumumba, who just won for mayor. He was city councilor, and that just won for mayor in Jackson, Mississippi. So, and I joked with him and called it, you are our first openly revolutionary candidate. You know what I mean? Because the lawyer for Asada, the lawyer, you know, who was behind one of the architects of creating the documentation for the foundation for Republic of New Africa. So I intend to be a revolutionary candidate of that same ilk and use politics as a tool to further, you know, same things that I've been organizing for and being an activist for, which is about justice, freedom, and equality. It sounds, you know, so simple. And in terms of the people who don't, yeah, in terms of the people who don't want, obviously, I don't believe that Mayor Menino would want me there.
Well, he's leaving, so you don't have to worry about him.
He's leaving, but you know his hand still stretches.
Oh yeah.
So that's one.
Start chopping off the little fingers if you have to.
I'm sure that the Boston police top brass, Ed Davis among them, was not, you know, happy with this prospect. And I am most assured that Dirty Dan certainly, and for those of you who are not in the know, I only mention his name just so you can know, but Dirty Dan is Suffolk County DA Dan Conley, hereforthwith referred to as Dirty Dan.
Wait, stop. We want to get people to the website, and if you want to know why he's called Dirty Dan, tell them how they can find out, because there's video evidence that's gone viral.
That's
so
right. Tell them to go to Blackstonian, blackstonian.com, BlackStonian, that's BlackStonian.com, and you will see the saga of Dirty Dan.
And Jamarhl, we have had conversations both publicly and in confidence of just you picking up the phone or me picking up the phone and us expressing that within our own community, people that look like us, that represent our community in, you know, quote unquote leadership positions, and we talk about how they are not advocating for, you know, community justice for us. Are there any of those people? There's a very tricky municipal campaign for mayor,
Right.
with a whole bunch of city councilors running,
Right.
and operatives now that it seems that getting into politics is the new hot thing to do. And now that you're jumping into it, how can you separate yourself from that philosophy of, oh, you couldn't win just by your street ground game, but now you want to be a part of that? And how do you not, Jimmy used the word poison this morning, poison yourself from being a part of the system that you and I talk about with people who claim to represent us, and that you don't fall prey to that?
Well, clearly I'm not part of the system. My story is an anomaly. You know, they will tout, you know, their college experience, and then I have a GED. They will tout their employment history, I'm unemployed. They will tout, you know, this and that, you know, I have a criminal record. So I come from what a lot of people in our community have dealt with. But then on the other hand, you know, I've also had the opportunity to speak before people like Nelson Mandela. I've been on tour and traveled the world and traveled the United States. People that I'm able to call my friends, people like Public Enemy and Dead Prez and all this. So I've experienced the lowest of the lows, from using drugs and selling drugs and dealing with violence and getting shot, and I've dealt with the highest of the highs. So I don't think that any of them have that type of experience. And in terms of the community people, once again, there's going to be people in our own community.
Name names.
Well, I can't, because that list may be a little bit long, but there are certain leaders and whatnot. One who may be mad because when they called me, I didn't go along with their thing because their thing was not well formed. And one thing I say is, you cannot force me to be whack. So if your stuff is whack, Jamarhl will not be there. Okay, so that's number one. So people may be a little disgruntled about that. Then there are others who just don't like my revolutionary style. There's a class war with the bourgeoisie and the grassroots. So certainly there's some of that. But my advice to all of them, here's what I would do if I was facing a candidate such as myself. I think all of the local haters, right, you should be placing calls to Dirty Dan, Commissioner Davis, and y'all should join forces, create some sort of anti-Jamarhl team or something, and deal with me, because that's your best shot of winning. Because one-on-one, I'm going to knock you out. I'm actually going to knock out all of y'all together. It doesn't really matter, because I got an answer for everything that you could bring at me, and that answer is truth and honesty, and the people already know. I released my Corey to 6 critical key figures in our community, just as in a statement, you know, just to say, here it is. Here it is.
Jamarhl,
this is what it is.
Jamarhl, let me tell you something. And I'm going to say this in the most low-keyed way so you understand. And I'm hoping that it reverberates through you. You are dangerous. But you should want to be dangerous.
I certainly don't want to be docile.
Exactly. You want to be dangerous.
That's right.
And by laying out this stuff, people know where you're coming from.
Right.
And there's no games. The bottom line part for me is that as I watch what you're trying to do, be aware of the people that are around you as well.
Yes, indeed.
This is just some advice.
Yes,
because
indeed.
some of the people, when we play smiling faces by friends of distinction, because I got this, or backstabbers by the OJs, a lot of these people are going to be smiling at you, but I can't wait to when an open debate comes, because that's where you will shine. When you say, look, I'll turn on TV cameras, I don't care. Whatever you want to say, I have an answer for. And not just answers, poignant answers that are going to stand the test of time. Remember, to be expedient is one thing. To say something that's right today to make people happy, everybody's going to do that. But the bottom line is, make sure, if I give you any piece of advice, make sure that the things you say will stand the test of time.
Yes, sir.
And Jamarhl, you know, the GOTV activities, everyone, even with, you know, the special election yesterday, Jimmy, we were imploring our listeners and people in the community to get out the vote. Meaning, make make your way to the ballot. Have yourself registered. Know what your precinct and ward is. Know who your representation is. As I listen to you, you represent something that I have never seen in terms of a candidate who reflects exactly what you said. Situations where it's known that you have situations with baby mama drama, right? You don't have a job. So you have the potential of bringing along a whole new docile constituency. What is it that you want to say to listeners who are inspired by, like, right now, like, yeah, I'm hearing what I need to hear of a candidate, and how do you bring the issues with you?
Well, one, I just want people, I'm not even asking people for your vote. What I'm asking you to do is take a look. And then if what I have provided for you to look at meets your standards, then I hope to earn your support. Okay? I believe we might have a caller or what have you, but as I'm going out and hitting the streets, we will be talking about the issues, not just talking about the issues and the problems, but also to providing our ideas for solutions. And I'm just going to stay on message with that, and the track record really speaks for itself.
And please, as we're going to go to the phones, stay the course. Just remember that. And regardless of what happens, if it doesn't work this time, you come back next time until you are in a position to sit in one of these seats, and from there, goodness knows where you can go.
Lord have mercy. I'm trying to tell you, I'm amped up for this. I'm not even going to tell you no lie, because that's my brother.
I can't wait to the first debate.
I've been
I
transparent
can't wait.
about that. Because, Jamarhl, over the years, you and I have had... See, I keep telling them to keep the radios down. Right. You got to keep your radio down if you want to call in. That affects us real negatively in the studio. But Jamarhl, we talk about, like, how did politics begin to be the new hot get in where you fit in thing? Are you getting in where you fit in, or are you going to be you're going to be different? Because we look at some of these guys and people and girls that are now all of a sudden, they're the political operatives for, the top tier of candidates and electeds and people in those leadership positions, appointed or anointed.
Well, I'm a square peg. And how do you get a square peg into a round hole? You make the hole bigger. So that's what I'm doing. I clearly know that I'm a quote-unquote outsider. I don't fit into that type of thing, and quite frankly, I really don't want to. If I wanted to be that type of person, I would be that type of person. I clean up pretty nice. I look decent in a suit. I can do the social networking, mixer, after work, cool down, jammy jam sessions.
Shake your hand.
Right, and all that stuff too. That's not what I choose to do. I am, the way that I am on purpose, intentionally, because of the elders that I've seen. And for instance, the politics that I'm talking about, because all politics, when people use the term politics, they're talking about electoral politics. Vote, that's one aspect of it, but there's much more. The Black Panther Party was political. Fannie Lou Hamer was political. So that I'm more of that ilk coming in. And if I am going to be a politician, it is going to be a revolutionary one.
Ooh, revolutionary. I feel like Soul Sister #1 right now. Go ahead, Carly, you're live.
Jamarhl Crawford, my brother, my man from another mother. You're inspiring a lot of our young leaders to become. Do what you got to do. This is Mr. Industry C1. I love what you're doing. You are the voice of our generation, our people. We got you back, man.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. Jamarhl, as we head to a break, I want you to think about this one too. This caller just talked about youth, how you will get into the high schools, how will you talk to people that don't vote right yet, but they're coming. Mm-hmm. This is your constituency, and I want you to talk about the legacy that you want to leave behind you. Because we talked about this a long time ago. Jamarhl, please make sure you leave something behind you. Because I smell a book in here.
That's right.
Because I can see a book being sold on Blackstonian one day, and I'd be honored to say, hey, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. I knew that was coming. This should make a heck of a book, and even a movie. And you're handsome enough to play in a movie. Play your own role, because you're still young enough. We'll be right back here on the morning show on Touch 106.1 FM. A major announcement today. Jamarhl Crawford is running for City Council, District 7. This should be fun. 617-445-1061 is our telephone number. This is Touch, the fabric of the black community, where you hear and feel the difference. Welcome back to the program as we're in our final moments. A major announcement made here on Touch 106.1 FM today. It's wonderful when you have breaking news of this ilk. Jamarhl Crawford is announced that he is going to run for the city council seat in District 7. I had mentioned about writing a book. Jamarhl's already written a book, so you can pen your own book. Yeah, 2 books. But this next one is the one that will definitely be in my library, because you're going to have to write about this.
Yes, indeed.
Somewhere down the line, you're going to have to write about what you're going to do. And I like the revolutionary politician.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be different. Jamarhl, your thoughts as we get ready to get out of here. You're going to be at the bookstore tonight?
Frugal Bookstore, the same bookstore where I got the book for the young gentleman. Frugal Bookstore, right in the Roxbury Mall, which is at the corner of Warren and Martin Luther King Boulevard, in the heart of Roxbury, right there between Grove Hall and Dudley. So the Roxbury Mall, black-owned business, small local business, live here, raise their kids here, all that. So Frugal Bookstore, 6 p.m. is the official campaign kickoff. And my campaign events too, people ought to know, this is not going to be, the glitz and the glam and we popping champagne bottles and eating, high fancy chicken wings and all this type of stuff. It's not like that. This is a grassroots campaign. If you come around me, you want to volunteer or whatever, know that there will be work involved. Yes, we will have a good time too, because it feels good to serve your people. But my thing, this is not a social mixing, type of deal here. And I just ask everybody once again, just give me a look. Stay tuned. Look at the information. Judge for yourself. And then too, like you talk about exciting young people to vote and whatnot. I want young people to vote, and it doesn't matter to me who they vote for. Vote. Do your research. Make your own decision. It's okay. If you say to me, I'm supporting Tito, it doesn't matter. I'll give you a ride to the polls. It's okay. So we have to make sure that what we're doing out there is putting out clear options on the table. And I believe that if people take a look at Councilor Jackson, the current councilor, and take a look at me, and then they think about who is better suited to provide these services, to fight these fights, advocate for our people, and deliver, I think people will have to admit that I have a different set of qualifications.
That is Jamarhl Crawford, who has announced he is running for the city council for District 7. That's our district right here. Congratulations to you. That's a major step in your life, more importantly, as you mentioned. Before you leave us to head on that trail, man, oh man, there's so many things I want to tell you as a son figure, but I'll just let you get so much of it as you head that way. Go well, be well, and get this done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get this done.
Yes, sir.
That's the most important thing that I could tell you. And as you mentioned, be a revolutionary.
Yes, sir.
Change the whole dynamic.
Exactly. I just want to leave people with a couple of things, not just running for office, but as people know, I've been on the radio before talking about the Boston Black agenda. Just yesterday, we put out 15,000 newspapers that are hitting the streets. Just yesterday alone, we already distributed 3,000-4,000 of them. So we'll be hitting the streets very hard with the Boston Black agenda, and it's just important for people to know this is entirely separate from the campaign.
Okay.
This is a project that is just for the people. You ain't going to see my face on it, my name on it. This is Boston Black agenda. We're trying to solicit ideas on how we improve our conditions. So that's one, bostonblackagenda.com. bostonblackagenda.com.
How's Blackstonian going to help in this?
In what? In the Black Agenda?
In the
campaign? Like Brother Charles, who's been criticized for, having a radio station and running the campaign, I don't care. And people can say whatever they want. Blackstonian is still up and running. I'm still the publisher and editor. I'm still going to write. If you don't like it, don't click it. It's real simple. We have to continue to do what we've done that has brought us this far. So that's one. And then the other thing, too, is also my own website, is jamarhlcrawford.com. And there you can also get the information for today's event. And then after that, we will be opening up the website. You'll see everything. It's all done, platform and all that. jamarhlcrawford.com. My name is spelled a little strange. Jamarhl Crawford. CRAWFORD. JAMARHL Crawford, CRAWFORD.com. And then last, I just want to alert the people. We didn't actually get to it, but I just want to let the people know we're still hot on the trail of this desperado, Dirty Dan. And today, Dirty Dan struck again. So when you look, oh, I got the wrong one. But when you look in today's Boston Globe, you will see an article now that the DA
Front page.
Yep, first page. The DA may seek to try Bulger and allies. So now, after the federal case is all over, it's been adjudicated. So now DA Dan Conley is saying, "Hey, let's see if we can try to prosecute him in the state." I got to tell him, one thing I say, he might be dirty, but he ain't stupid. So he's, he's using every chance he can to get back into the newspapers and win goodwill. Caught the Boston Strangler. Tomorrow, I hear he's releasing the fact that he found Sasquatch.
You're crazy. So Jamarhl Crawford, ladies and gentlemen, he is now officially a candidate campaigning for District 7.
Oh boy.
Jamarhl is campaigning in an uphill battle with a sticker campaign. And we want to make sure that you come back, and you'll now have to officially speak with Sandy Robinson, 617-671-5212 for your interviews. And we will make sure that you, hey, if you want, you might be able to utilize any day of the week that you choose during this campaign.
How can I get my campaign rap song played?
Oh, listen, all you gotta do is holler at Sandy. I mean, we want that.
Wait till you hear it.
And we want that.
Well, I want to hear it.
We definitely want that.
And that should be played here first on
Right.
Touch would be great.
Absolutely. And Jamarhl, with everything that you do, my brother, I can't tell you how much like this really means to me, to see that you're growing and going. Like, this has never happened. And I think that you have the potential of inspiring a whole new breed of voters who want to be active. So I say salute.
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
watching. Don't stop calling me just because you think you are that easy. But that's it for me, Jimmy. We want to remind our listeners that Saturday coming up, Big Head Community Festival. And there's just so many things going on there. It's a family event, 2 screenings, 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. of the movie Hidden Colors. Their information is 617-442-8614. And back to Jamarhl, you gonna stir it up like no.
Roxbury, stand up.
This is going to be fun. As we leave, remember tomorrow morning we start all over again, 7 a.m. And as we will lose one part of Jamarhl, but we're not losing him. We're not losing him because we'll just get more of him now that he's running a campaign. Again, Jamarhl Crawford running for the City Council, announced first here on your station, the Fabric of the Black Community, Touch 106.1 FM. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Stay tuned. Courtney B is up next. And God bless you all. Please stay safe. Have a great day. And remember,